Hello.
Hi.
It's my godson, Kenneth Carter.
All I'm gonna say is milk.
Milk? That's it?
Yes.
That's all you're going to give us? Okay, bye. And then he runs away.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast, a bi-weekly podcast delivers an episode-by-episode breakdown of the original G1 series. This is our episode number 172. We've been at this for a while. We are covering episode number 65, the final episode of Transformers Season 2, entitled B.O.T.
Big Ottoman Taint.
You could have said Turks.
In
Big
prepare.
Ottoman Turks.
Yeah.
But they are known for their giant taints.
It's true. It's something I've seen on Pornhub.
Lime to the lemon, lemon to the lime. This is your host, Aaron, and with me are the 7-Up and Sprite to my own Sierra Mist, thus completing the carbonated beverage arc of Autopod Decepticast intros. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Hey, I'm Ryan. I guess I'll be Sprite. Yeah, did you just have a lot of soda this past month or something?
Or maybe I was just low on ideas.
All right, that's like, what? Just throw a dart at a bunch of ideas on a board. Well, I guess we're doing soda for the next 2 episodes.
Which one did you claim?
Sprite.
I guess that puts Caleb at 7-Up.
The Uncola.
Let me hit y'all with some Lyman facts.
Oh, hey guys, how's it going?
Caleb is once again remote.
Yep. Which is ideal for our last episode of the season 2. Where let's make the audio really weird.
Phone it in just
Yeah.
the way the writers did.
Yeah.
That's right.
And also, Caleb was at a biker rally party.
Well, it's
last
mainly
night.
because he has to watch his kids. Cause
That's
his wife's
not
out of
why
town.
I'm phoning it in. No,
Yeah.
my wife's in California, so I'm having to, watch the children.
At a biker rally.
I'm at a biker rally right now.
No, I met your wife.
and- no. Oh, my wife's. Ooh.
Let me hit you guys with some Lyman facts.
Please.
7-Up was created in 1929 and was originally marketed as bib label lithiated lemon lime soda. Sounds delicious. It originally included the mood stabilizing drug lithium citrate, which is still used today to treat mood disorders.
Mm-hmm.
Sprite was introduced to the world in West Germany in 1959 and was originally known as Clear Lemon Fanta. 2 years later, it hit our shores to compete with 7-Up. Today, Sprite is owned and distributed by the Coca-Cola Company, while 7-Up is owned by Keurig Dr. Pepper in the U.S. and PepsiCo in the remaining world.
Nice.
Not as many crazy facts. I could have looked up knockoff names, but that's all.
That's cool.
You don't know to go to that well too often.
That's right.
I 7 and 7 used to be my drink of choice, and but I used Sprite. I feel it's a superior lemon lime soda.
There is a lot of chatter online about which is better.
Which is your team?
and a lot of people who can't tell the difference. I think from a sensory perspective, you could probably.
Maybe. I also
I-
use
I-
Diet, so.
The only soda that we had in the house was 7-Up. So I grew up with it, so it's kind of it's nostalgic for me. So I would pick it over Sprite, but I never see 7-Up like in a restaurant anymore.
You remember
So
the
I
dots, the commercials of the little
Oh,
7-Up
yeah.
dots from the.
Those were cool. They were
I had-
hip.
Yeah.
I had the video game. I had the
Oh, shit.
Nintendo 7-Up video game with the dot.
Wasn't that well produced?
I mean, I think it was all right, yeah. But I mean, my uncle that ended up working for Dr. Pepper, when he was working for Pepsi in the 80s, they distributed 7-Up. So they would get all like this merch. And so I got like, we don't have it anymore, unfortunately, but we had like a plush Dot toy and got this Nintendo Dot, and yeah,
Maybe I'll have to see how much they're going for on eBay, and that'll be my next NES cart.
cool.
I used to like those things because maybe it was going through a phase where I'd make a lot of flip books.
Yeah.
And because it was, just a circle.
A circle.
you didn't have to try that hard to make something interesting.
Maybe we
Soda
should make
talk.
some APDC flipbook merch. Like we could make a short cartoon.
You should make a drink. You should make a drink with some 7-Up.
I will say, like, because I always used to drink Diet Sprite with my, like, 7 and Diet Sprite, Seagram 7. And I tried regular Sprite recently, and god damn, it's sweet.
It's very sweet. It's sweeter than 7-Up, I think.
It is. 7-Up's drier. I probably like
That's why I
7-Up over regular Sprite now, but
I'm guessing it's probably a regional thing. We don't see Sprite here because Coca-Cola dominates the restaurant market. And so,
you mean we don't see 7-Up here?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay.
So Sprite is what is on tap most of the time here. Where
Yeah.
I'm guessing if you went east, like northeast, people love their Pepsi up there. So
Maybe
although 7-Up is a Dr. Pepper product, so that just actually blew my whole theory out of the water.
Maybe this is what we do after we get back from our hiatus. Is just talk
Soda
about
talk?
soda talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is now a carbonated beverage podcast.
Look forward to next time where we talk about Faygo, Detroit's very own.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got? Jones Cola.
Shasta.
Ooh,
Shasta, yes.
I am a fan of Diet Right.
Yeah. I've wanted to do this for a couple of years. They recently stopped producing Tab soda, which was basically the original diet soda. And I wanted to do it for a Christmas episode because of the movie Scrooged. He drinks Stoli and Tab, and I wanted to get some. Well, some people, yeah. So I wanted to get some to have a cocktail, but like it's like $50 for a 12-pack.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with this?
I asked my uncle if he knew where we could still get some Tab, and he said pretty much no. He said they don't make it anymore, and if you were to find it, it probably hasn't aged well.
Right, that's another concern.
The shelf life on Tab isn't great.
Well, because I've noticed I had a pretty good stockpile down here of soda, and I would keep it just for drinks or whatever. But like the regular sodas age okay, but like diet soda in the can, if you keep it at room temperature for like even like 5 or 6 months, it sometimes goes off in a weird way.
It's just weird. They put weird shit in diet sodas, I think.
It gets very chemically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's made of chemicals.
Better living through chemistry.
We just cannot stop talking about soda.
Try to fucking stop us. We'll see you in Chicago, motherfucker. I don't know why I'm aggressive.
Wow.
Reminder that it's with a degree of melancholy, but everything's fine, that we're going to go on a little bit of a hiatus, and this is your last proper episode for a short spell.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too long because we record these ahead of time, so we'll be releasing through mid... this episode should probably come out, the end of January?
Mm-hmm.
And so we are planning to start back up in probably March.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll maybe only have a month or two without an
Tops.
episode proper. But yeah, we're going on a short hiatus. I mean, especially over this past year, we've garnered a lot of steam, not only with listeners and followers, but with our patrons. And there probably will be a little bit of leakage with this, but just don't unsubscribe. We'll be back soon. And we're gonna do some. I certainly will do some stuff on Patreon. We'll do some fun things. Maybe there'll be some like bonus episodes of like just like a super cut of something. It won't be too painful.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I wouldn't be surprised.
Painful.
I wouldn't be surprised if
Don't
Like their
everybody.
APDC withdrawal.
Yeah,
They're
I know.
just in a room, strapped to the bed, babies crawling on ceilings.
Well, I just know that whenever I love a podcast, I'm like when they understandably take time off for like the holidays or whatever. It does suck not to get new content, but we appreciate all of you, and we will be back. And it's just mainly just to take care of some stuff for us.
If Ryan would just apologize, maybe we would get things going sooner.
Apologize.
He knows what he did.
Okay. Oh, this is the breakup?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on to make wings.
Chicken wings.
Yeah. It's a Beatle-based chicken wing restaurant.
What?
I was making a Beatles joke. I'm Paul McCartney.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. That's actually.
I can't believe I made a music joke.
I know.
And nobody got it.
Well, he didn't break up with the Beatles to form Wings, but I'm being pedantic. Is it pedantic or
Pedantic.
pedantic?
Yeah.
I've been saying
That's
that wrong
my
a long time.
job.
Yes.
On the podcast.
Fellas, we got ourselves a shoutsky outsky. That's Russian for shout out.
No.
All I want to do is to thank you, even though I don't know who you are. You reviewed our podcast about those alien robot cars.
That's a new thing we're doing.
Oh, fuck.
It is from Apple Podcast reviewer Taff79. I'm guessing.
Do you
they were
think
born
it's
in
President
1979.
Taft?
There's no T,
Oh.
but maybe.
He was fat. He's the fattest president. He had his house broken into after he was he never wanted to be president, first of all, and he had his house broken into by serial killer Carl Panzram, and he stole his some guns and money from former President Taft.
But he didn't kill him, obviously.
I do not believe they were home.
That's scary.
Carl Panzram is a very scary person. You should, like, if you have any interest in he's also kind of, I don't feel like, well, no, he's one of those guys. It's like he is I don't have a reference for something that's underground and cool, like, but in the serial killer world of people who are interested in serial killers, he's like the garage rock.
Okay.
Of that.
He's the
he
white
did it,
stripes of the serial killer
He did
world.
it all. Like, I mean, he was a horrible human being who who raped men all around the world, literally all around the world, and used to steal yachts. And the only reason we know about it is kind of a Green Mile situation where he made friends with his like the jailer that who eventually put him to death, or he was eventually put to death. That guy had retired by that point, but
Taff79 appreciates that fun fact.
sure.
That miserable sad tale.
There's no, you know what? If we're gonna shout you out, either whether it's on iTunes or Patreon, you're gonna get some weird shit in there.
Welcome to the game.
The headline is "Great Show,"
Yay!
and the body copy is "Great Podcast, Fun and Well Made." And to that I reply, "Great review, succinct and well worded."
I like it. I love it.
This is the
I want some more of it.
This is what I call a perfect review. It's sweet, tart, and golden like a Honeycrisp apple.
You know what? That's funny. That's going to come in to our cocktail hour.
Ooh,
Honeycrisp apple.
I didn't even know that.
'Cause
Cocktail hour.
I keep it secret to keep it safe. I don't
Secret.
tell anybody what's happening
I don't kiss and tell, ladies.
unless you want me to.
Before we close out season 2 with B.O.T by Earl Kress,
The best of the series.
animated by Toei. This week's titular character has a kind of shape reminiscent of a Moscow Mule mug. Ryan, have you got anything close to that kind of thing for us today?
I got some mugs.
Let's have at it.
All right. So this is a hot drink, friends. We have a throwback here in a few ways. This drink is actually from the book that started this whole segment, Jigger, Beaker, and Glass. For those of you new here, this is a book Caleb got me, I don't know, like 12 years ago.
Has it really been 12 years?
It was when I was still married.
Wow. Okay. Far out, man.
So this was written by Charles H. Baker Jr. about a century ago, published in the 1930s. It's a combo cocktail recipe book and travel log of a bunch of rich white guys drinking around the world. This is the Ye Old Gossips Bowl, based on mulled ale and dated England 1622. And that is that is bowl with an E and old with an E. From the book, page 51. We, as a matter of principle, despise all titles with ye in it, ye little gifty shoppy, and such ilk, but when we ran on the near Elizabethan dating of this receipt, we forgave all, for it is a grand title and one of England's oldest drinks, sometimes called lamb's wool. I will make a note here. Receipt is an old-timey synonym for recipe. So, this is 2 12 ounces, 1 quart, strong ale bottles, Bass preferred, which they do still make, but sporadically. So I use Boulevard Ale, which is 5.4% ABV. 2 cups or 1 pint of good white wine, a teaspoon of nutmeg, brown sugar to taste, which is also the problem with a 100-year-old version of a 400-year-old recipe. It's pretty fucking vague. I actually used a surprising amount. I think there's about a half a cup in here. I would start with a quarter cup and go up. Well, I mean, it's like 4 cups of liquid. And then small apples, sugared, spiced, and roasted. Again, super vague, because old recipe books just assumed you knew how to do things. So putting actual measurements in a recipe is a fairly new invention, like of the 19th and 20th century, basically. Roasting apples is super easy, but there's a deceptively long number of steps for me to go into, so just Google it. Dealer's choice. The book does say that crab apples are preferred, but I did not have access to them, so I used Honeycrisp. Mix ale and wine, add sugar and spice, heat slowly. When piping hot, add roasted apples, serving in wide mugs if you have them.
These are wide, Ryan.
Yes, I have a fun mug I'm going to do for the picture.
Cheers. Our friend Michael Trimblett, the cyber informer, for a period of time, maybe he still does it, would execute all of these drinks as well. You're going to have to put in some work if you want to do this one. You roasted the apples?
Yeah, it's super easy.
All right.
Man, I'm really missing this one. Darn.
It's really good. It's super interesting. You can taste the beer.
Yeah, you can. I will say, I think, and I followed the recipe, if I were to zhuzh it, I think this could really benefit from like whole cloves and cinnamon. It's a little one note, but it is a recipe from the 17th century. So,
and they did, and it's a white person recipe, so they didn't.
And an English
about
recipe,
flavor.
yeah. That is the Ye Old Gossips Bowl, based on mulled ale and dated England, 1622. Sorry, Alexis, to cast aspersions on your country. That is the honky motherland, though.
The hockey motherland. Oh,
honky
motherland. Speaking of our former colonial masters, I've been watching Ted Lasso, Ryan. I know we've talked about it a little bit on the text chain, but I really, really think you'd like it. It is so goddamn endearing.
I do not have a way to observe it.
I said that. I threw out there, maybe Caleb can share his Apple podcast login with you.
I don't know if I have Apple right now.
Or Apple Podcast. Apple Plus is what I mean.
Right. We had Apple to specifically watch Ted Lasso, so I don't remember if any deactivated or not. But
you can do a 3-month free trial.
Yeah.
Right.
If I have it, I'll share it. Ryan already uses my Disney.
It's true.
So might as well give him Apple as well if I have it.
Throw this poor fuck a bone.
No.
Just for the Ted Lasso. I mean, it's so good. I mean, I've heard people talking about it, and I knew it would be pretty good. But
I will say the apples I made are pretty good, so that's why I put them.
Oh no, I want to. Let me eat one here real quick.
Oh man!
Speaking of apple,
those are big mugs.
I said there's a lot of steps, but basically I just cored out the apples, filled it with brown sugar, and then a dollop of butter on the top, and then kind of rubbed them with more brown sugar and cinnamon, and then roasted them at, I think, 375 degrees, which I believe is about 180 degrees Celsius, for about 30 to 45 minutes.
It's tasty. It's not refreshing.
Nope, it is. It's kind of I did it because it's like it's a cold weather drink,
and it is very cold out.
It's true,
but now I feel better thanks to this drink.
Hopefully, our February won't be as cold as it was last year. We're under freezing temperatures for 2 fucking weeks,
and where everyone in Texas died. But
that's right.
And then Senator
I guess
Ted
some had it
Cruz
worse.
went to Cancun.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be fun. I love the idea.
I don't know why you thought this would be fun.
I love the idea of year-end recaps, like top toys of the year, or top whatever. Mm-hmm. So I challenged the guys to do a top 5 best and worst things of 2021, and then Caleb haggled it down to, how about the top 3 best and worst things of 2021? And Ryan was like, "Oh, I already did my top 5," and we were like, "Okay, well, we'll make it top 3." And then Caleb and I both didn't do it, but Ryan did. So maybe we can.
I cut it down to 3.
Okay, Ryan, why don't you lead us off here?
So these are personal things for me. I know. I mean, obviously, worldwide has been super tough. And everything's awful. So if we're gonna go macro, there's a lot of really bad things we could talk about, but I had to keep this personal. So these are my personal things and I'm gonna start at like the bottom things, the things that I don't feel good about.
Start at the bottom, and now we're here.
Drake. Okay, so we'll start with the heaviest one. Depression has really been kicking my ass a lot this year. Some days, like especially in the mornings, on the cusp of waking and sleep, I have little minor panic attacks, just thinking of how I have to get up and do things. And I'm not in danger at all, but sometimes I do feel like just turning off the world. So I know there are probably some of you thinking, remember, mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility, and I'm still struggling with that too. And it sucks because you have to force yourself to work up the motivation to do something about a problem you just want to ignore and hope it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you do need help in that way, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. They also have a chat option if you don't want to physically talk. People do love and will miss you, and the world will be a poorer place without you in it. And a lot of so, like I said, I'm not in danger in any way. But a lot of what I think about is just like, my friends. This podcast that we do, my friends, the chickens that rely on me, which I don't trust anybody else to take care of. My dog and my cat and my girlfriend, obviously. So. Just a thought, like I know mental health has been an issue with me in the past and continues to be, and I'm sure with a lot of our listeners, especially in the past several years. So,
do you feel like in 2021 that like there was a trigger that brought you to some kind of realization that you're sort of at peak like anxiety or what?
Nope. And that's kind of the way like well, Aaron, but like anxiety attacks and like depression tends to work is there's not really a trigger. Sometimes there is, especially if you just have a break. But in general, it can just happen anytime. And that's fun to think about. It's just never trust your brain. So no, it's just there's been a couple like, for like 3 weeks at a time that have been really rough. And then I will get better. I'm not at the point, again, like I said, where there's any danger or it's not a huge issue. It's just been something I've struggled with this year in particular.
Well, I know we don't say this type of thing much. We don't tend to be super sentimental, but you can always call me. Not that I have the solutions, but just know that we're always around and here, and I feel that same way with you guys.
I appreciate that, and I know. And actually, whenever recently, Aaron, your wife, and I went out to have lunch, and this subject actually came up. It got super heavy, super fast about just talking about this kind of thing, and she's like, you could talk to me too. And
yeah.
So, yeah.
You can also talk to me.
I know.
I was included. You were in the royal we.
Oh, okay. Except make some. I don't know. Weeknights after like 10.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough. Ted Bundy worked for a suicide hotline.
Oh, God.
He did. He worked alongside Anne Rule. Do you know who Anne Rule is?
I believe it.
No.
I believe it. It's
Who's
just
Anne
like,
Rule?
Anne Rule is a best-selling true crime author who actually her first book was about her friendship with Ted Bundy at the suicide hotline.
Huh.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's it for that. Okay.
All right. I hope that's the very bottom.
That is the worst one. The other one is it's still a struggle to eat sometimes. I often think about how many calories I need in a day, and it's just super discouraging, and I can't imagine how to put enough in my body. I've looked online and thought about getting like super high calorically dense, like those kind of survival bars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No visibility in sight for a solution to the problem.
I find if I just eat fruit, it starts to kickstart. Like I had a banana this morning. I've had some of this banana bread, and it's just like, and crackers and things. It just helps to if I can just kickstart it in the morning, I will be better during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I start eating, usually if I can just force myself to start eating, usually my appetite comes back. So
you get a habit. Establish a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that we'll just do two of the bad ones. Those are the two main ones. Let's do the good ones. So my pets. I've had my cat Zodiac for a year, and my 14-year-old Dachshund Reese, I've had her since 2008, so most of her life. And she's in excellent health for her age, and I love them, and they bring me joy.
That's very sweet.
Yeah, I love animals.
Zodiac
love
is
pets.
a very cool cat.
She loves people. She's a very, Reese's a little with you guys, I mean, she knows you guys, but like with normal people, she's a little more standoffish. She's a dachshund, so she also likes to eat herself into an early grave. So we've had to put her on a diet. But yeah, Zodiac, she's very friendly. This was probably so. My girlfriend and I, West, have been communicating really well this year, I feel like, and despite being pretty much constantly around each other, are still in love and have had what I would call a healthy amount of arguments that are not accusational and have resolved in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've just been both like trying to communicate and be mindful of the way conflict is. So I feel like, especially in the past like 3 or 4 months, it's been really good. So
I feel like I start to get better at that sometimes, and then something will happen. I'll throw it all out the window.
Literally, you just throw a TV through the window.
Not too far from literally. What's your secret? What's the secret to how you willfully and purposefully communicate?
It's kind of, well, there's one thing of like taking a beat of like if you're in an argument and you start to think that things are spiraling out of control and you're starting to make accusations and getting defensive, just like walk away for a little bit, and maybe you can come back and talk about it more. I don't know, generally, like not even the arguments, but it helps to just, when something occurs to you that maybe you haven't told your partner, maybe even if it's like something that you feel is negative, not necessarily negative, but something that is contentious, like bring it up in a neutral way, especially if you're not mad at the time and they're like not mad at the time, to make it more of a like a conversation you can have without so much heightened emotion in it.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of, that's what I've been keeping in my mind of like, we don't have a lot of fights, but like there are things where it occurred to me, and you know, honestly, it might have been some of the helpfulness of this might have been coming, like take the trip on mushrooms, of like just being aware of like, well, I don't talk to her about this, and why don't I? Or like, I've never mentioned this to her, and why haven't I? And like, This is something I felt and I haven't shared. So that kind of thing.
Okay. So hallucinogenic drugs, that's the key.
They do seem to help, especially like microdoses. I've read, I saw some things about turkey tail mushrooms being helpful in guided meditation with terminal cancer patients, like getting them to deal with the fact that they're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So get some mushrooms. And then finally, I just think it was our best year for the podcast. Like, we had some really great episodes. Our last two, the holiday one and the Revenge of Bruticus in particular, people seem to love.
Finally getting in the groove.
I loved, yeah, well, fucking 4 years, 4 years later, I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go to TFCon again. Our Patreon is doing great, and we met a lot of new and awesome people. And I just feel like we've gained a lot of steam this year, and it feels like, you know, kind of a tipping point of where it's getting a lot of engagement, and we love meeting you guys and seeing the new, you know, communication and stuff like that. So
honestly, I feel like the people that really care about this thing, I look at them as friends. Honestly,
yeah, well, they are.
It's always great dialogue. I feel like they're the type of people that we could call up with problems, kind of thing, and
for real.
So I mean, it's been really good, and just like all real friendships, sometimes I let those people down thinking about TFCon. And I think I'm the only person that trips on this. I don't think Alpha Magnus cares at all, but like me intending to help him out. And then, I mean, I did watch the table for 30 minutes, but I intended to help a lot more than that. So it's just me tripping on that. But
and that's another thing is like, yeah, I mean, internet friends are real friends. Like,
true dat.
That's it.
That was great.
Yeah, my list would have been a lot shallower than that.
I got a pinky ring that I'm really into.
It's Morganite.
Well, that's the APDC. You come for the Transformers and stay for the
Emotions?
emotional vulnerability.
Caleb, I don't know if you have a list or anything that's come to mind while Ryan was talking.
I'll just quickly say that, like, low point, I will say 2021 was better for me than 2020. Even though 2021 got off to a really horrible start politically, but I mean, just I don't know. I've been in a better place mentally. I'm seeking therapy, and so yeah, me and my wife's relationship, I feel, is in a better spot than it was a year ago. Beyond that, I don't take for granted that we are we're financially stable. I feel safe, and so I just feel pretty fortunate, and my job's going well. So I just feel really fortunate from that standpoint.
That's great. I'm glad that you're feeling that way. And I also, I mean, obviously, I love you guys, and I love getting together and talking to you. And the reason I was a little skeptical when Aaron suggested this, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna do some bummer things. But then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, but it's not. There was a time where people thought you shouldn't get people together to talk about their depression or whatever because it's just going to feed upon itself. But the opposite is actually true.
Yeah.
If you
Totally.
talk about it and you have empathy for other people and other people are going through stuff, it actually really helps to know you're not alone.
I think just even getting it out is helpful. Yeah, Caleb, it's interesting what you saying, I guess, politically 2021 versus 2020. I would put 2021 almost like one of the most negative points of trying, like a low point in feeling about how the world's working. Certainly my wife and we both lost parents this year. So working through that and figuring that out has been tough and remains tough. But I agree, Ryan. I think in terms of the work with this thing, the Autopod Decepticast, there's been some really great work. It does feel like we're in a groove, but as soon as I feel like we're in a groove, I feel like we got to switch some shit up, do something differently. Should this be a television show now with full production studio?
Yeah, just so you know, we're in a meeting with TNT. That's why we're taking a break.
That contract better be 10 figs, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm out.
It's literally 10 figs, fruit.
Newtons,
I love that.
Just Newtons.
I thought that was a good joke, Ryan. I like that.
Thank you.
I do also think this is a cop-out a little bit, or it'll come off as one because you said it. But for the podcast, TFCon Baltimore was a lot of fun, and getting to hang out with so many people was a really great time.
And as of now, we're still planning to go to TFCon Chicago. Obviously, we'll continue to look at the state of the world, or state of the country in particular, as that gets closer. But that's still on the docket. We're still thinking about doing a panel. So
yeah, I've got some ideas for a panel.
More lies.
We came up with an idea for a panel in our last episode.
It was Invincible Humans.
All right, well, I hope that was inspiring. I was going to be like, my top 3 toys of the year were the Fans Toys Soundwave.
When you texted...
Then you went and made it real.
I know, I did. I like being sincere. And whenever which, not to say that you could do toys, but when you texted that, I was like, oh no, it's going to be hard. And then I whipped it out in 5 minutes. And I'm like, well, that wasn't hard at all.
By the time Caleb had negotiated down to 3, you'd already written
I was done.
Okay. Last episode recap. 5 of our fan favorite figures figured out how to physically feign a photographic facsimile and also effectuate a phonetic affect of their foes, who happened to be a fantastic 4-wheeled faction inflated and facilitated by the fusion of fragments into a fully formed, freakishly frightful fiend.
Well done. I have absolutely no memory of this episode.
I didn't really either.
But
we're about to, closing out Season 2 with B.O.T by Earl Kress. Animated by Toei.
The TF Wiki is pretty snarky about this one. Up top, calling it the worst episode ever. And I know you're going to take us into this episode, Aaron, but I thought maybe I could read from the very opening first couple of sentences from the TF Wiki. The Combaticons enter an unidentified city for no discernible reason, then all transform to vehicle mode for no discernible reason. While transforming, Swindle knocks over Brawl for no discernible reason. Brawl expresses his displeasure for an obvious reason.
I guess we don't need to do this.
TF Wiki's pretty harsh on this one.
After all of the hate that I've heard about and how crazy it is, and I was actually shocked at how it's honestly about on par with every other episode.
I agree. I don't think it's the worst episode. It's not good.
It may be the worst, but only a degree or two worse
it's
than
not like
any other bad one.
Ryan made up a good point that he was left confused by it, and I felt when I was watching it, it was just the parts where there's like the dialogue amongst the kids, and I was just kind of like, the pacing of it's very odd. Like my brain reacted to the my attention was just bizarre on this. Like sometimes I was trying to pay attention to what was going on with it, and I was just like, it just wasn't tracking well for me. I had a hard time just paying attention to this episode. It just wasn't attractive to me.
Very strange. Yeah.
If one were to count the logo transitions,
yes,
there would probably be more of those in this episode than there's probably twice as many as there is in a normal episode.
I have that note about 4 minutes in. Yeah.
That is a zero.
That is a zero.
Another
We've
zero.
done it again.
Yeah.
Good God.
You know what? Just showing that kind of sums up the episode, really.
Well, we open up in the big city with city action. Humans walking the streets, reading the paper, waiting for the bus.
That woman at 40 seconds is stacked as hell. We'll get there in just a second. I'm sorry. I had that note after fucking the Combaticons show up.
Whoa!
There she is.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
I should say, Jesus Christ, cave.
The Combaticons show up, and they start terrorizing the joint. But before they could do too much damage, Defensor shows up and just blasts Bruticus into a million pieces.
Yeah, the Combaticons do show up, like I said, and transform into vehicle mode, and all drive down the street about 20 yards, even like blast off and vortex, and it's so silly. And then they transform into Bruticus. One-shot Defensor is what they call him, and he obliterates Bruticus into component parts.
In addition to the nonsensical, why did they transform into robots and then transform into Bruticus thing, what they also, when they initially land and transform into vehicles, so they go into vehicles, then robots, then Bruticus. But they land on top of each other. They do this gag where, like...
Oh, with Brawl and Swindle.
Like they're just so close to each other that they're so...
It makes no sense.
They didn't need to do... Like, what's the point of that?
I think it's maybe, if I'm being super charitable, I think it's maybe to set up that they don't like each other, and that's maybe why Swindle doesn't give a shit about completely recreating Brawl.
Okay, that's very weird. Okay, all right, I got it. That's the one time you see them have a very slight altercation. An altercation you might have with anybody in that same situation, your best friend even.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, get off me. Stop sucking my dick.
As we said, Bruticus takes a shot, exploded, and guess what, guys? Defensor got jokes.
Oh, yeah, he's hilarious.
Let's play this out.
Defensor! Call sanitation. There's junk all over the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as I know, that's the first time we see a combiner that has the, I guess, intellect to crack wise like Bruce Willis.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they're usually super serious. Swindle, at this point, says, now where am I going to... Because Swindle's the only one to survive.
Mm-hmm.
All the other Combaticons are obliterated.
Many pieces, many parts.
Yes, and Swindle says, now where am I going to find parts? Which, in my mind... implies he's going to fix his comrades.
Right.
Let's continue.
He ends up approaching, I don't know where he is in the world at this point. He approaches the culturally ambiguous dictator, El Presidente.
Oh, boy.
Who will help Swindle for a price, of course. So at this point, it still seems to be about finding parts for his friends.
Yes. So Swindle visits a ship in the harbor to get He does say, like, to get parts for his Combaticon comrades from a Russian general dictator, El Presidente. That's at least the implication. Like,
yeah,
that's what I understood.
It should be the implication.
Yes.
Because what he said he was going to... Why would you say, where am I going to get parts?
Exactly. Because get means acquire.
Mm-hmm.
Not divulge yourself of.
Also, leaders of foreign countries are always hanging out in boats and hangars with bombs and missiles.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Well, El Presidente is going to help Swindle for a price, of course. And why would El Presidente say that if the intent wasn't to do trade?
Yes.
And where he receives money and provides
goods.
Product. Very fun.
We're building to something, audience.
The Decepticons are watching a wild video that I'm going to try to describe. It looks like Bruticus riding on top of Blastoff.
No, it's Astrotrain.
How do you tell the difference?
Because Bruticus is in robot, like Bruticus is combined.
Yeah, but are those not...
Astrotrain is just really off-model.
Like so off-model that he looks like Blastoff?
He's purple. Blastoff is
purple.
Blastoff is brown. It's meant to be Astrotrain.
Riding on top of Astrotrain, and there's a giant cannon attachment which fires on a planet or moon or something and causes the space rock to light up and fly off into space in a psychedelic Pink Floyd laser light extravaganza.
It straight up books it out of the system. It is crazy. And it's revealed to be a simulation.
Yeah, we zoom out, and it was just the Decepticons watching a screen. It's Megatron's future orbital disruptor cannon that Soundwave concocted, apparently.
Yeah,
he's just taking pitches from whoever at this point.
Soundwave does a lot of like ratchet wheeljack stuff in this episode.
Megatron is going to use this device to knock Earth's moon into the corner pocket, thus granting him control over the tides, creating a massive canyon and limitless power or something.
It seems like his plan is to build a hydroelectric power plant.
Don't need to get rid of the moon for that.
In the most ass way possible. Like, they exist. Like, once again, I believe it's SOS Dinobots, where as long as the water keeps going over the Great Falls, the generators will keep producing electrical energy. And Soundwave was present to hear that.
With his little wacky
his little
pod
snaky thing.
microphone. Swindle is meeting El Presidente at Combaticon HQ. It turns out he'd rather sell his comrade computer parts than purchase supplies to repair them, which he does. There's plenty of parts that the Prez doesn't want, however.
Yeah, so we've now it's the complete opposite, where now Swindle is selling the other Combaticon parts to the General. In the previous scene, the General says, "What can I do for you?" Swindle says, "Spare parts for my colleagues who were damaged in battle." And the General says that can be arranged. In this point, I do not genuinely understand what is going on.
All they had to do is change the script to say "of" instead of "for."
I just don't know why. Yeah, like
spare parts of my comrades who were damaged in battle.
And
sure,
maybe due to script edits or something, because again, I couldn't. This whole script is not originally available online. But why even make it like that? Where like he was planning to, because obviously the entire plot of this show hinges on him selling the parts. So why even include that confusing bit about him trying to help them?
Right. Yeah. It's doesn't make sense.
Swindle isn't buying, Swindle's selling. It's my Jimmy Stewart.
Pottersville.
What the fuck? Merry Christmas, movie house. Scurvy little spider.
Why? Yeah. It's a very strange thing to do to start the way they did. Because you could have just as easily, when he poked his head out of the rubble of his friends, say, there's an opportunity here. That's something like, I mean, he's Swindle.
Yeah, that's his, and we'll see a little bit, apparently part of his character component or whatever. It's in his program.
Skywarp is checking in on the Combaticons.
The smartest of the Seekers.
They aren't here. There's no signs of battle, but a trail of parts to follow, which he does on command, to a local junkyard. And Skywarp, along with his fellow Seekers, spy Swindle, dumping off the pieces of his pals. So they just pick him up and whisk him back to Decepticon headquarters.
Yeah, Starscream swoops down and picks up Swindle in vehicle mode as if Starscream learned it from Laserbeak.
He must have some sort of magnetic,
I guess,
power. City junkyard.
We have a junkyard attendant Mario. Or I guess it's Luigi. He has green overalls. Thought it would be a
good Mario joke
laugh
there.
For that joke.
It's me, a Junker Mario. You got to do something like that, right?
I'm sorry.
You
got to do some on a horrible Italian accent.
Right. We go back to Decepticon base. Swindle, under duress, explains he's not bad. He's just drawn that way.
Mm-hmm.
But Megatron needs Bruticus and hopes that the bomb inserted into Swindle's head will incentivize him to get his team back together.
That bomb literally has a clock on it. And Well, we'll get to it in a second. But so I get Megatron wants Bruticus back. Theoretically, he's powerful, even though we saw Defensor kill him in one go.
Mm-hmm.
But so if the conceit is that you need Bruticus specifically for your fling the moon out of orbit plan, you could just use any other combiner. You could use Minosaur, you could use Devastator.
There might be an argument that you don't even need a combiner.
Certainly, I don't know why you need him to fire this weapon. I'm starting to think there's some holes in this plot.
Swindle travels to all the various countries and governments that he's done these shady arms deals with and breaks into their facilities, steals the parts back. No refund will be provided.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, Aaron, every scene is so fucking short and clipped. So far, we've seen like none of them are really more than 30 seconds long. And the shortest, which we just saw where Swindle is harvesting parts from that aircraft, lasts 6 fucking seconds between the insignia flips. It's just so chaotic. And, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Swindle is stealing parts back from the people they were sold to. But now they're scattered all over. So how does he know which parts are which?
Right. Unless there was just an off camera, he made the sale to various governments, if that's what we're supposed to believe.
But
or
the general made the sale.
Well, right. Or are we to believe that the general bought all of it and then distributed it all?
I think yes, El Presidente isn't just an arms dealer. And so, because first we see that it obviously seems to be a Middle Eastern country where he is harvesting the parts from the aircraft, and then we cut to what is obviously supposed to be Soviet Russia, and they're like, give us our rubles back when he's stealing the tank turret. And also, should it fucking matter? Like, why do they have to be... Because we've seen, even in G1, roll for it, where Starscream and, I don't remember if it's Skywarp or Thundercracker, just go to a human... Air Force base and harvest parts for themselves. So it's not like they have to be specific. All you need is the brain.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Maybe there are tracking devices that he was able to...
I just don't think I don't think they thought about it at all.
The answer is there's nothing there. There is no answer.
I do find it strange that El Presidente has a Russian accent, but is El Presidente.
It's all messed up. But, I mean, it's fun to speculate.
That's all we have. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
They aren't very clear.
This is the point right here, and I texted you guys about this, where I had to take a break in watching this episode and reviewing. I had already made notes for our previous episode, and I thought I'd go ahead and just bang this one out Friday night while I was rolling on, but it almost immediately defeated me, and I was like, oh no, I need to come back on this Saturday morning when I'm fresh. I was just super unprepared for how, like, the mental energy that this episode would take. Oh, did you notice also in those scenes and in scenes we'll see later, the bomb inside Swindle's head is ticking?
Yeah. It's like the alligator in Peter Pan.
Go back to the part where he's this one and play it, and you can hear it. You can hear it specifically right at the end of this scene.
Sorry, but I need the parts back. Then give us our rubles back.
Yeah, and that happens that happens throughout the entire episode.
At least they're being consistent.
I actually kind of like it. It's weird and stupid, but I had to cling to some positive notes.
We are back at the Decepticon base. Megatron is happy because the Combaticon team is back together. He needs them to form Bruticus right now.
This is so funny.
But they can't. Their combiner acrobatics fail them without a net. Turns out Brawl is still missing his personality component, which is a callback to another episode as well, which prevents them from accomplishing this task.
It seems like the rest of the team, all of them are missing, like, just a brain.
Because they also don't speak.
Yeah, he like drags them over into position. Like I think for all of them, their brains are missing.
I do like the joke where Swindle says, like, I couldn't find Brawl's personality component. I didn't think it would matter. I thought that was a funny dig.
Yeah.
Because Brawl is an idiot, and apparently they have a beef, I guess.
Right. Megatron is pretty incensed. He reminds Swindle that bomb is still ticking, and he better finish the job, or he'll be finished.
Yeah.
We transition. to a high school, I guess. It says,
I guess.
It says Benjamin Franklin
They say
Pierce.
Benjamin Franklin Pierce High School or Benjamin Pierce Franklin. I don't remember which it is, but yeah, it's a high school.
It looks more like a junior college because
it does.
there's a wide range of ages represented in the classroom.
And
here.
apparently it would appear to be some mafia thugs.
And some maybe characters from Gem before they took on new personalities.
I probably wouldn't. Jim was going on at this time, but I probably wouldn't have noticed it without reading the TF Wiki, even though I did like Jim, and I have revisited it recently, and it's very good. I recommend you go watch it. It does have episodic elements, but there are through lines that carry the story. In this classroom scene, it's pretty obvious they use the character models for Jerica and Kimber from Jim for two of these people with the smallest desks ever.
Yeah, they're recolored. It's really interesting to see the character model comparisons of them in Gem mode in here, because these are just plainer versions. They took their outfits and made them more monochromatic and changed their hair colors.
I'll put that picture up.
That one guy in the orange shirt in the background, I think he's asleep. The one with his head resting on his hand.
Oh, here he is. That's me in class. I didn't notice until now. I thought these were just chairs. I'm just now seeing they are those kind of college.
They have the sideways little.
Yeah, but it's a very small. No, like you would only be able to do one of those tiny little 3-inch notebooks on.
Yeah,
that.
that's why Kimber's taking notes on her lap.
Yeah, and then all the male participants in the class just have nothing at all.
Yeah.
I think that guy in the orange sweater is actually doing a slow side tug.
With his nubbin hand.
Yeah.
The more I look at this picture, the weirder it
is
gets.
very, very weird.
The teacher is demonstrating a low-powered laser, but
that voice does not match that character.
No.
Is it Corey Burton?
I think it is
Sorry,
Michael Bell. I think it's Michael Bell.
No, it's not Michael Bell. Go back. Let's listen. I don't think it's Michael Bell.
You might be right.
Aren't lasers dangerous, sir?
Not this one. It's much too low-powered.
No, that's Dan Gilvezan.
You're right. It's Dan Gilvezan.
Well, Dan, you didn't work very hard on this one. No personality development.
No, lasers are very dangerous. This is too much low powered.
I feel like that was a fat joke.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it.
And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, audience.
We're discovering that somebody pulled a little prank here and
my
turned the
God.
laser power up to 11 as the laser blows a hole through everything in its path, including the windows.
Yeah, it shoots through a big stack of books, a barrier, and through the window. Jesus Christ!
Outside on the campus somewhere, somebody totally got a hole burned through them.
Absolutely.
They're like there's at least one dead person out on the commons.
Something happened. Like, it really didn't. Oh, God.
This professor does not look like he belongs in a Transformers cartoon.
No, he looks like, I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe somebody you'd have in the Care Bears.
Really, all these characters are animated like that.
It's really weird. It's really weird.
Local assholes, Martin and Roland, are the ones who boosted this output power as punishment.
They suck.
They are the worst characters in the series.
They're like if you took the aerial bots and distilled them and reduced them to pure asshole.
Took out any positive component whatsoever and just left. It's like I don't think you guys watch Rick and Morty, but it's like if there's an episode where they go to a spa and the spa extracts all the negative aspects of their personality and makes these slime monster versions of them. That's just these guys.
Yeah, and I hate their clothes. I hate their hair.
I kind of dig Suspender's clothes. I think that's.
It's weird that
I think that's Roland.
He's got yeah, well, you have a point. So he's got red striped suspenders, and they match the width and the color of the red stripes on his shirt. That's kind of interesting.
It seems like an overly complicated animation model. Like, why did you need to make it like that?
Yeah.
This is so dangerous. Like what they did, and these fucking reprobates are like hardy har.
Instead of being expelled or had the police called on them, their punishment is they have to, first of all, they have to get a blue ribbon at the school science fair and they have to pal up with Elise Presser to
Gross.
work on it together.
Who must be a super annoying girl, but turns out
This is
she's
a weird-
just perfectly nice and reasonable and smart.
Weird dynamic. It's a weird dynamic. And,
But we hate her.
Their punishment is for her to get punished, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, why hold her down?
Except she's also so, like, nonplussed by everything that happens. Like, she still wants to help and be nice and kind
She's
to them.
a good person.
Yes.
But
and look how fast the other girl runs out of the classroom so she won't get looped into this situation.
Okay.
She cannot get out of there fast enough.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get out of here quick.
I don't know if it was TF Wiki or the episode, but they even tried to make it feel like Elise is problematic as well, but she's not.
No.
They try to make it seem like she's overly whiny or cowardly, but she's not really.
No, she's just a
normal
completely
kid.
reasonable person.
Obviously the last scene of the entire episode exposes, like, it reinforces that more. We don't want to go into it yet, but it's like, yeah, it's weird. Where does the writer lay with that character? Like, they kind
Whose
of like,
side is he on?
Yeah, like, oh, a nerd. No matter, big help, but still at the end, they're worth detaining. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I have some
Weird.
notes on that also in script deviations about the writer, but
Bizarre. Okay.
Elise approaches the boys on the streets about working together, and they want to just give her the brush off, but then they all casually notice there's a towering inferno of a 100-story high-rise just next to them.
Yeah.
The Protectobots show up and exhibit some
there's
killer
two guys.
teamwork.
There are these two window washers on a platform way up high, and it like one of the sides breaks, and so they're both hanging on for dear life, and yeah, that's when the Protectobots show up.
They use the power of liquid nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
There's the whole saving of the window washers is a very strange sequence.
Yes.
They use the wind power of the helicopter blades to, I guess, knock them from their scaffolding.
So,
and then the police car one, whose name I can't remember, catches them.
Yeah.
Streetwise.
I thought Blades was going to fly up. Blades is the helicopter, fly up and save them, but no. He blows them off the platform, and they fall into First Aid's arms. And as far as we all know in Transformers, if humans fall from any height and don't hit the ground, they're fine.
Yeah, the physics don't work out unless his hands are made of cushions.
Well, they do they retract and come out with marshmallows.
Yeah. This event inspires the teens to make their own robot. I can just smell that blue ribbon from here, guys.
Also, they don't know what Transformers are.
They've never seen the news.
Which, whatever. But, so I don't know why to... I don't know if you need them to not know what Transformers are to inspire them to
why
build
make
a robot.
A point of that? Yeah.
It's hard to get through this episode.
It is, because every second you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, for real.
It's fun to speculate. Why did they write that in there? And maybe it's so that they don't think for a second that one of these parts that they've pulled out of the junkyard is a Transformer part.
I don't think that... that's going pretty far.
Well, why else do they need to say that?
They don't. I think it's just bad writing. But it's not even bad writing. It's confused. Like I said, it's just confusing writing. Like, why? That's a great question of why even include it. It doesn't matter.
Like, everything should have a purpose.
Exactly. It
so
should
I have
either
to
move the plot
there was
forward.
A purpose there.
It should move the plot forward, or it should advance character development. And it does neither. And it's just fucking confusing. And you're left going like, wait, what?
And then it feels like. Ooh, this is getting a little bit ahead, but all these kids are going to want to do from now on is call the Protectobots. But they go to this junkyard, the same junkyard we saw Swindle in earlier, but they're looking for parts, machinery that might help them in their robot building exercise. And then Elise eventually finds a part that looks rather promising. Elise, don't use that part!
They find Brawl's brain, which appears to have buttons, dials, and readouts on it. As if Brawl is controlled by a tiny homunculus inside his head. There it is.
It has a monitor.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes sense, I guess. Maybe he is because he's an idiot.
The kids use the school facilities to build their robot, and goddamn if it doesn't look stupid as fuck.
Aaron, do you remember us trying to build robots?
Yeah, a little bit.
It was
would be like the last 10 minutes of any time that you'd come over and stay the night before you got picked up.
Yeah, it was just, but it was all like ass backwards and like not like we researched nothing.
We basically were trying to take apart Atari controllers.
Yeah, we just started winging it, putting random Atari parts together. The only, I'll say, quote-unquote successful result was rewiring an Atari controller so the joystick did basically the opposite of what it normally would. So if you pushed up, you went down, and down, and the fire button was like right or something like that.
Just got yourself a drunk robot.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. We never even assembled just a robot out of junk parts that didn't work at all. It was just like,
well, yeah, I tried to. Me and the kid on my street, we tried to use Capsilla and then try to like somehow hook up. We'd take apart a digital watch. Be like, okay, this will be like the computing part of it. Yeah, but then we never, I mean, you're kids, so maybe this is why these kind of episodes work for us when we were 10.
We thought we
8?
could make a Biotronic Operational Telecommunicator.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that fucking name. So yeah, they named it the Biotronic Operational Telecommunicator, B.O.T.
Do you like how much trouble he goes to explain how acronyms work?
I do question the fact that biotronic isn't a word. Also implies that there's a biological component, like it's a cyborg, and it doesn't communicate anything.
It must be a word. He put a period at the end of it.
He did put a period. I didn't notice that. I did look it up, and Biotronic is the name of a company, but it's spelled with a K, and they make pacemakers.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because it's a biological component.
We see that they attempt to bring life to this robot. A few Frankensteinian attempts.
Steinian.
They end up then installing that brain box that they found at the junkyard. Oh no, Ellie, don't do that.
Elise says, "Here goes nothing," and one of the Dickhead brothers says, "You can say that again." Like, why are you fuckheads so mean to this girl?
Yeah.
Who's doing nothing but being nice, kind, and capable?
Bot comes to life, and as you can imagine, with the personality component of a Compaticon, it starts busting the place all up, and that's when we go to commercial.
I like how its eyes turn mean.
It's so fucking stupid.
It's so stupid.
It looks like an undersea suit,
like a diving bell.
It looks like a diving. Is that what they're called?
No, I don't remember I don't know what that.
But yeah, a diving suit from the 1800s.
Yes. Not for nothing, but they did build a pretty sweet robot. Like it's pretty powerful.
It works.
Yeah.
It has gears and shit. We return from the commercial break, and we're still at the school science lab. Ellie, I keep calling her Ellie. What's her name?
Elise.
Elise tries to talk some sense into Bot, but Martin grabs his teacher's laser and unleashes it on Bot.
Martin, where is it? Runs out of the room saying, "I've got an Einstein," which I guess is his douchebag way of saying, "I have an idea." It's a catchphrase I've never heard before. I mean, but then again, these two boys are awful teenagers, so maybe that tracks. I don't know.
It's almost like cockneyed rhyming slang, but without the metaphoric part.
Right.
I don't know.
Einstein was a notorious pussy hound.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was a bad husband.
Did he fuck anybody famous?
I don't know, but like he did when he was married to his wife, did basically design up a contract where he's like, well, here's what we do. I get to fuck anybody I want, and you say nothing.
Is that in the Smithsonian?
I don't know if that's in the display next to his face, sticking his tongue out.
That tongue was on so many pushers.
No, it's very good.
Is he Austrian? Is he
No,
Australian?
I think he's German.
Hey, it's me, mate. Old Greg.
You could say he invented the theory of infidelity.
You could say
right?
that. You could say anything you want. Free mustache rides.
Yeah.
Bot is angered by these laser blasts. He busts a hole in a wall to escape this room. What are we going to do? Call the Protectobots. They use the internet or something.
They do.
Which sends a distress signal to the Ark.
I was kind of impressed with that. They actually use a proto version of the internet where they go into the biggest computer room in a high school I've ever seen and put a phone into the cradle to connect to the modem like in war games like you had to used to do.
I guess I didn't pick up on that. I did not know why they had any animation at all of a phone.
Oh, yeah, you had to pick up the phone, and you put it in a cradle that had, like, the little phone things, and that was the connection to the modem. Like, that's how it dialed up.
The ARC. The Autobots are answering for the Protectobots for whatever reason. No direct line.
I have some things about this in script deviations, but yeah.
Ironhide, B, and Gears are sent to check out the distress call, and I thought Ironhide had a really interesting non sequitur here. Let's just play it out.
I've got a distress signal. It's coming from a one-level brick structure with the inscription Benjamin Franklin Pierce High School.
Mighty funny name for a defense establishment.
Well, who would ever? Why would you think it's a defense establishment? Have you never heard of a high school?
Yeah, there's also the note of like, Spike and Carly,
right?
You know Chip. You know that they went to school. What the fuck are you talking about? This scene is so
Swindle.
strange.
On the hunt for Brawl's personality component, he shakes down the junkyard operator who lets Swindle know that those kids might have taken it.
Yeah. Swindle's asking about the personality component. He says maybe those kids took it. And Swindle says, you better hope so. Immediately leaves without any clarifying questions, walks over to a junk pile, flips over a piece of junk for no apparent reason, and the scene fucking ends.
I thought maybe it was an animation error and he was just going back to searching through the rubble.
Maybe. Chef's kiss. Great.
But also, why would you better hope that they did?
Well, because he's going to come back and kill the guy if his information doesn't check out.
But wouldn't you rather it just be there? Wouldn't you rather just hope that they didn't?
Oh.
That it's just at the junkyard?
Oh, so you think that he's still searching for it and not going after the lead?
At this moment.
Oh, you might be right. That's very confusing, too.
I have no clue.
I just thought maybe he has to walk in straight lines like Arthur Shawcross. As a serial killer. I'm sorry. I don't mean to shoehorn serial killers into everything, but that's literally what I thought. Because, like, this is a component of some weird things of, like, people with head injuries and serial killers. They like to walk in straight lines, so he didn't want to backtrack and go to the exit. This is literally my thought process.
Ironhide, B, Gears, show up at the high school. You aren't the Protectobots. No, bitch. But we're the OGs, and we got this shit. They march into the high school and are initially a little put out. We came all this way for this hunk of junk. That statement incenses B.O.T, who knocks them all back with a case of corn on the cob.
Friends, do you remember the last episode where the Autobots were super capable and captured the Stunticons? This is opposite. They are not. Yes, all three of them are dispatched with a tray of corn, and then their shot gets blocked with a common...
A wok? I don't even know.
I guess it might be. I thought it was a giant bowl.
Yeah.
But
to be fair, they're all shrunk down to the size of humans in this segment.
Oh, they're not very tall.
No, not at all.
Their
They're
scale is
I mean,
off.
you look at the interior. They're just the size of human beings.
It's true. In this one, they do have to duck at some point to get through the door, but then later, some of the structures are enormous. But when Charger can't break through a wooden door, even with just wooden things piled on the other side of it.
And B.O.T was able to block that door with bookshelves very quickly.
And then Elise says... So B.O.T runs out the door. He blocks it with a bunch of bookcases and then jumps through the goddamn window. And Elise says, over this way, guys. There's another way out. No fucking shit. That's how you came in. What are we doing?
Swindle happens to be on the scene. He's watching from a distance as the Autobots chase B.O.T into an abandoned warehouse.
I think it's meant to be the building that was on fire from before.
Really?
I believe that it is.
I guess that makes sense because it's next to the school.
Don't know why the power's still on.
Yeah.
So yeah, they run into this fucked up building.
Well, the Autobots chase B.O.T into that building. He says, Ironhide says to the kids, chill here, don't follow us. And the Autobots race their way up the steps.
they jam a stick into the elevator, which apparently is how you stop an elevator.
To keep Bot from being able to use the elevator?
Yeah, because, well, also it doesn't, but we've gone so far.
We have a Sunbow wrist grab. Double wrist grab.
We do, but Ironhide. So Bot is already in the elevator. He's up to B says the 30th floor, even though there's only like 12 lights that light up. But Ironhide jams a stick into the elevator doors, which is not how you stop an elevator, because that's just the door. The car is way gone. So the theory is that it stops the car and Bot is trapped, but we'll see in a second that's not true at all.
Right.
Maybe because the kids are about to pull the thing out. But yeah, so the kids come out and they're looking at the building.
They're tired of waiting.
Yeah, and the douchebag twins are like, let's go check it out, and bodily drag Elise into the building by her wrists because she doesn't want to go and thinks they should not mess with it.
She's just a fuddy-duddy.
Or reasonable.
And she's just being dragged. Like, her ankles are stiff
and
to try and keep from being pulled in. But
yeah, this is where begins the manhandling of this poor girl. I guess it's supposed to be funny, but I hate it.
They pull the stick from the elevator. They wrist grab her into the elevator. Ironhide and his diaper and his friends are all running up the stairs. They're attacked by some unseen foe, and they blindly fire back. It turns out their foe is Swindle. Bomb clock ticking away like a clock that ticks.
Time keeps on ticking, baby, into that future.
It's going to skip, but we're going to find out that I guess he took them down pretty quickly, he being Swindle and them being robots.
I guess they don't show it, do they?
No.
So
we pivot to the kids in the elevator. There's a little shaking going on.
Like the elevator stops and the kids, the other two boost Roland up through the little hatch in the ceiling to see what's going on.
Yeah.
What's going on
is
that Bot is ripping the cables off of the fucking car, and Roland just stares at him for a super long time with his fucking mouth open and no reaction.
He's just awestruck at how something out there could be a bigger dick than he is.
It's so long. Well, actually, we go to commercial and come back, and it's still happening.
Yeah. When we come back from break, we'll see that Bot is still popping elevator cables, but he is then blasted from behind. The kids are safe. They exit the elevator in time to see Swindle running away.
Yeah, Roland drops back through the hatch and goes, there's something fishy going on up there.
I know.
Not, oh, fuck, we're about to die. Something fishy. He is unflappable.
He's cool as a cucumber.
Which again, speaks to being a psychopath. They don't have emotions really like that. Okay, that was really cool.
Yeah, the Autobot trio recovers. They were busted from an attack from Swindle.
Mm-hmm.
They recover and run out the building with the kids. Swindle transforms into Jeep mode in kind of a cool flip.
He does. Move. He runs and does a flip and transforms into Jeep mode, and it is legitimately neat looking.
The kids remark on how complicated this situation is. They should have just taken the F.
The F in science class, not the F train. There's also a lot of weird smiling on the human characters in inappropriate times.
Swindle is vindicated in Megatron's eyes. After a quick threat to remind Swindle that Megatron is the boss, the Sea Boys form Bruticus. Soon, Megatron will control the ocean's bwaha ha ha ha.
Bwaha.
This is the first time we get a minor character combiner, develop his personality a little bit.
I will say I have that note later, but like one of the things I do like about this is I do like the Swindle highlight. I find him an interesting character. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we'll see more of him in season 3.
Stay tuned.
Or don't.
Do. Don't unsubscribe.
The kids are back at the school lab examining Bot's corpse. Elise realizes the component is gone, as Martin and Roland surmise that the component must be why Bot became a violent maniac. Elise wants to butt out of the whole situation, but Martin and Roland discover they can track Brawl's brainwaves.
Holy shit.
Which they do to the ocean.
I guess.
Look how worried she looks when you cut.
She should be.
Yeah.
She's with two fucking maniacs who are like... Should be probably in juvie.
Yeah, poor thing.
Juvie. I guess I should.
They're using her car. They're even using her car. And everything.
Yeah, her convertible bug, red convertible bug. I should point out, I guess, here that radio waves can't pass through electrical conductors like metal or water, but who cares?
This is where she gets back in her car and drives away.
Yeah, exactly. I would love that if the two dickheads are staring out of the water and you just hear.
Elise reprograms the kid's tracking device into a signal decoder.
She reverse polarities.
Which allows them to hear what Brawl hears. And what they overhear is Megatron's plan to test their new orbit disruptor cannon on Autobot headquarters. This is how science works.
I would go. I know. I saw that, and I'm like, I could think about how dumb that is, but at this point, I can't even. I can't even talk about any more science about this episode.
There is a list of all the wacky devices that are in this
is a
episode.
long list on the TF Wiki of all the gadgets.
The kids rush to Autobot headquarters to warn them. Good work, kids. Only Defensor can stop Bruticus.
I know, because Superion's a piece of shit, I guess.
They make a big deal out of explaining how they must send a non-interceptable signal to the Protectobots that only the Protectobots can receive and, I guess, decode.
Exactly. Why do we have this back and forth? Ironhide is contacting the Protectobots, and the kids are like, what if somebody intercepts that message? And he's like, no, only the Protectobots can get this. In fact, it's the only place on Earth. I did Ironhide and Jazz together. But, like, why do we have this? It doesn't matter.
It's another one of those worthless lines that make no difference at all.
Nope.
Short story long, the Protectobots receive that message and leave to help.
Oh my god, I love how they leave.
I was like, what?
It's like a Hollywood movie facade.
Yeah, their whole front of their building opens up like a garage door. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. What?
And here's where we establish, I guess, that all combiner teams have separate bases of their own.
Yeah, because we see that the Combaticons have a separate base. I don't know where the fuck the Aerobots are. And then, the Protectobots have a base of their own. It's interesting.
Oddly enough, the ones that might not are the Constructicons, and they'd be the ones that most capable to build one for themselves.
Maybe there's not enough bedrooms in the Ark.
I wouldn't want to live there. Would you?
Just open to the world?
Like semi-active volcano. Yeah, you got to have a secret location. So the Protectobots are just the smartest Autobots, as it turns out.
Yeah,
I suppose. But their solution for a secret location is the front end of their building flipping open.
No one will see that.
There is that joke in the TF Wiki of like, what if someone's walking down the sidewalk when that happened?
Just get smacked into the building across the street.
Yeah.
I would argue the most discreet thing is for their base to be a fire station, and they just go out the fire station garage door.
That makes sense. And and there could be like a helipad on top.
The Ghostbusters fire station, specifically.
Station 8.
Yeah.
Ladder 8. I guess I will say, this is the thing, is I find the Protectobots and the Combaticons the most interesting combiners. I mean, I like the Constructicons, basically. Devastator is one of my favorites, but of the later combiners in Season 2, the ones that I find the most interesting get the shortest shrift. I agree. I guess Bruticus gets some highlight moments, but I just think the Protectobots are so much more interesting than the aerial bots, but for reasons of Hasbro, they just weren't around yet. So,
I do think that Swindle gets, if not a spotlight episode, more than his fair share of lines in Season 3.
He does. I believe he has several like little highlight things. Yeah.
We are outside Autobot base. Megatron commands the Combaticons to be up, and then Bruticus takes some Autobot laser fire, but for some reason is ineffectual. He just stands there and stares
like
blankly.
A doofus. Yeah, he just takes it. I don't understand what that's meant to convey.
I read somewhere that there might be something about his tech specs where he has to have direct orders or he freezes up and can't do anything.
Yeah, we saw that very clearly in Revenge of Bruticus.
So Megatron commands a D combination since the combined form isn't doing anything. The Autobots take some shots from the Combaticons individually. Starscream takes a shot from Streetwise, who's shown up with his fellow Protectobots.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is the part where Wheeljack, we do get to see his gyro inhibitor, which in this episode manifests as like Aquaman telepathy rings and blows some missiles out of the sky. I think this is supposed to be the same thing we see way back in SOS Dinobots, but it's shown as shot out of his shoulder launcher, which destabilizes Megatron's equilibrium. For one shot at like 1931, we see the Decepticons seem to be standing in front of the CDC building in the background.
Very relevant reference.
So that's what the CDC building looks like, huh?
There are lots of buildings. There are like 20 buildings, but one of them is curved like that and has windows like that.
Okay.
Whatever. They're in front of a bunch of fucking 80s glass blocks.
Well,
or at the bottom of a pool, a dry pool.
You're right. To your point, there was a structure there that they're in front of, and then you're like, where did that come from? And then by the time you say that statement, it's gone.
Yeah,
it's out of here.
It's gone. I just don't understand that mistake.
Right. Yeah. What? Wait. Yeah. Exactly.
Megatron goes into gun mode, but before Soundwave can blast, Hotspot shows up and gives them a double-barreled blast of his own.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't even Soundwave doesn't even get to fire him.
Roland, Martin, and Elise are watching the battle from inside the base on Teletrain 1's 4K display. There must be something we can do to help them. There is. She, being Elise, sends a reprogrammed bot onto the battlefield and remote controls him to the disruptor cannon.
Which I guess they took him with them. I don't know how they have him, but
they just rolled him on the ground.
he was in her car, man.
Yeah, they put him in the trunk.
Meanwhile, the Protectobots merge to form Defensor and put up a force field to protect the Autobots. Bruticus heads to the disruptor cannon at this time. Yeah, we don't know why this happens either.
This force field makes no sense because it's like a Trailbreaker style force field. The Decepticons stop firing, and then the force field just goes away, and so
just enough power for 12 seconds.
Yeah, something like that.
After a few moments, that force field fades and the assault restarts. Megatron commands Bruticus, fire that disruptor. But it seems to be working by itself, firing at Starscream, Soundwave, flinging their ragdoll bodies into the great beyond.
This cannon, to roll back, is supposed to destroy Autobot headquarters and knock the moon out of orbit, and it just kind of jostles Starscream around a little bit when it hits him.
Yeah,
maybe
there's inconsistent results here.
Maybe, if we want to be like...
Maybe they put that ruby in it?
From the last episode. I was thinking maybe Megatron's simulation was overly optimistic.
Oh, yeah, maybe. That's funny.
Maybe his boss... well, he doesn't have bosses, but it's like whenever your boss is like, I want this result, you need to make the figures match what I want.
So that somebody who made that simulation, they conspired just to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, make that moon fly away further.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a stupid looking cannon too.
It is. It's nowhere near as cool. It looks like a film projector. Oh my god. Of course.
Turns out that Bot, controlled by Elise, is the one that's firing the disruptor cannon. And for the coup de grace, Bot overloads the cannon, blasting it, Bot, and Bruticus to Kingdom Come.
Because
he waves goodbye before he
does. It's kind of sad, actually. It's kind of sad because Bot waves goodbye and then gets shredded to pieces, and you see the pieces fly away,
including his head.
It's kind of horrible. But this is so weird because so there is this huge cannon that has a human-sized control panel at human level and an overload button. Which, of course, that does. Because, we all build technology with self-destruct built into it. I don't know. I guess it's just a writer's convenience. But, nobody... That's not a thing. That's in anything.
An overload button?
Or a self-destruct. It's just not a thing that exists anywhere in the world.
Back to your earlier point... There's no reason Bruticus has to be the one to fire it. There's Devastator, there's Menasor, but also it feels like Rumble or Frenzy.
Yep,
could have
Yep,
managed
because they
this.
built that human-level control panel for some reason.
We go back to inside the Autobot base. The bros are thanking the humans for their help. Bumblebee delivers condolences for the loss of Bot. Elise suggests they could build another one, and to show appreciation for her suggestion, Martin and Roland duct tape her mouth shut and drag her from the base, presumably to kill her. I don't know.
I had that note too. The boys.
I didn't want to use the R word. That felt a little harsh.
No. We don't want to do that.
But there's some, and we're to take away the Autobots are cool with that.
Yes, the boys tape Elise's mouth shut, drag her away, presumably to murder her. I guess the Autobots don't care because they don't do anything. They just let it happen. At least they don't burst into laughter, I guess.
I wish they had, just so I could be laughing about that.
It is nefarious that these boys carry around duct tape like a horrible, like, prepubescent MacGyver.
Oh, they just found it at the base. It's
messed up.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Do you think they got the blue ribbon?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they flunk that class?
There is a note in TF Wiki. Imagine if this were the last Transformers episode ever. And that's season 2, everybody. That's how it ended.
Did they know they were going to make a season 3 at this point?
I would assume, since they made the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just weird that, we've gone through this huge season 2, and that is how they end the season.
And like I said...
I wouldn't call it a high watermark.
No, I didn't like this episode, but I don't think I don't agree that it's the worst episode in the series. It's bad, it's confusing, has 2 of the most disgusting, loathsome characters in the series.
Right.
But I do
what do you think is the worst episode of
Hoist Goes Hollywood.
Yeah.
Another Crest script, by the way. That one made me actively angry, whereas this one is just fucking stupid. But it didn't enrage me, and it's just stupid and confusing, and it has 2 awful human characters that I wish would die.
Right.
Hello, friends. Ryan here. Just wanted to jump in because we kind of go into a non sequitur where we start talking about the cocktail here again, and I just wanted to let you know because it's a little confusing. So there you have it, and we are good at our jobs. All right, back to the show.
Ryan, I couldn't finish this one. I think it was because the pale ale vibes started to overwhelm me.
I wanted to make this one like the way it was in the book, but honestly, it needs more spices. Like, I think it needs like stronger spices, like some allspice and some clove. It is a little too ale heavy. I mean, it called for strong ale, so but yeah, this is not. If you're gonna make this,
a Bass would have been good.
If you're going to make this, listener, I would say spice it up. Maybe put some, like, orange rind in it when you serve it up. Yeah. Well, I guess
Don't use pale ale.
Well, you're supposed to use some kind of strong ale.
But pale ale isn't necessarily hoppy.
I don't know anything about beer.
I know. I'm trying to provide more context for the listener.
It's true.
I think something with less hops, less of a hoppy presence would benefit it. Well, like a Bass ale isn't overwhelmingly hoppy. Like pale ales are made to be super.
Maybe that's the problem.
Super stanky.
Don't make this one. Just skip it.
No, I think it has potential. The first few drinks when it was warm, it was still really good, but as it cooled off, it just it tasted a little funky.
Go back to our Tiwa Diddle back on the Skyfire intro episode. That's a similar drink that's better.
The word diddle creeps me out though.
Kitty fiddler. Call back.
That needs to be a button.
No.
What would that look like?
I don't know. Help me out there. I was thinking maybe a cat. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a kitty. Well, that'd be like, make it 3 letters. Have it say kitty fiddler, but then have it actually be a cat playing a fiddle. It'd be like, what's going on? I'm so confused.
It's just a connection to the old children's rhyme. We're very innocent about this. Let's see here. New voice actors, characters. We had El Presidente, voiced by Roger C. Carmel. We already covered Dan Gilvezan, not even trying to give a personality to Mr. Robbins. Ellie Presser.
What if it's Christopher Robbins all grown up?
Poor Christopher.
I know, he really lost a lot.
He needs to go back to the forest.
Pooh Bear in the public domain now.
Oh, I'm going to fuck that shit up.
Oh, God. I don't know what that means.
It's mine now. Ellie Presser was voiced by Samantha Newark, who we covered in a previous episode. She voiced Ariel, which leaves us with Martin and Roland. Yay! Martin was voiced by Townsend Coleman, and he will go on to voice Rewind in Season 3, and that's about it for G1 Transformers. He will also go on to voice Sentinel Prime and Trax in Transformers Animated. He was a disc jockey for WGCL in Cleveland, Ohio in the 1970s. Alpha Magnus, maybe you know something about this. For 16 years, he was the voice of NBC Must-See TV, voicing all the primetime comedy promos. He was the titular Waldo in Where's Waldo. He was the titular Tick in Fox's The Tick, but he is most well known as his stint from 1987 to 1996 as Michelangelo in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, also voicing Rat King, Usagi Yojimbo, and many other characters.
I'll call you Speak, because that's what you do.
I'm doing laundry.
The great news is he's alive.
Cool.
And then we have Roland, voiced by Michael Sheehan. He did such things as Fred and Barney meet The Thing in the Flintstone Comedy Show. What else we got for this guy? Spider-Man, Shirt Tales. He voiced Mogwai and Gremlins in the titular Gremlins and Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Rio Pacheco on Jim, and he was on an episode of Night Court, and he's alive.
I noticed Night Court Season 1 is on Prime, like IMDb, like it's on Prime with commercials, yeah. But just Season 1.
Never going to make it easy for us,
I know. It's like, God damn it. What is the problem?
In the real world.
All right, in the real world, B.O.T aired January 9th, 1985. We've covered Kyrie by Mr. Mister on Revenge of Bruticus, which aired a day before this episode. So, sling, slong, slappy pap. Let's pick another. I don't know where that came from. I chose another song, West End Girls by the Pet Shop Boys.
In a western town, a dead-end world, the East End boys and West End girls. West End girls. West End girls.
It's
I like that song. That's a good song.
It's a synth pop song written by Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe, and the song's lyrics are concerned with class and the pressure of English inner city life. This song actually scared me as a kid. Like, I liked it, but there's something sinister and gritty and like just scary about it to me.
I think that's the Pet Shop Boys sound as well. It's ominous and industrial feeling.
Yeah, industrial is a good way of putting it. Like, apparently that was kind of, though, exactly what the group was going for. Like, the sound is influenced by hip-hop, not only socially conscious lyrics, but the bass line derives from Grandmaster Flash's protest rap song, The Message.
Okay.
Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
According to Tennant, the lyrics were inspired by T.S. Eliot's poem The Wasteland, in particular the different narrative voices and arcane references, and it's largely concerned with class, inner-city pressure. Tennant later said that some listeners had assumed the song referenced sex workers, but it was actually, quote, about rough boys getting a bit of posh, unquote. And I will say I also thought it was about sex workers.
By getting a bit of posh, like guys from a bad neighborhood hooking up with girls from a good neighborhood?
Yes,
okay.
I believe that's the conceit. I guess I guess if you don't understand the different parts of London or England or whatever, you might not get that. But yeah, I guess West End girls are like upper class girls. I don't know.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand and it's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables. In a restaurant in a West End town, call the police. There's a madman around. Running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town.
West End world.
Yeah. So yeah, I do specifically remember this when this song came on. It made me feel weird as a kid. Like it felt sinister.
Oh wow, here you go. You got a heart of glass or a heart of stone. Just you wait, I'll get you home. We've got no future, we've got no past. Here today, built to last. In every city, in every nation, from Lake Geneva to the Finland station. Why?
How much do you feel?
Russians and the Finns, they could never quite get it together, could they?
Is this a stand-up bit? Am I right? What's up with that? Have you heard of these things?
My tight 5 is a little loose.
Finns, more like bins
of trash. Am I right, Russians? Some apologies to our Finnish listeners.
I think I do have some, and some Russian listeners. Okay. Number one at the box office. Number one this week was Out of Africa, which we covered in episode 170. So let's do a wonderful and strange film that was number one for an entire month in February. Down and Out in Beverly Hills. Have you guys seen this movie?
I don't think I have, but I've heard of it. Shelley
Oh
Long?
yeah.
Nope.
Oh,
that's
no.
Troop Beverly Hills.
That's Troop Beverly. This is with Nick Nolte.
It is.
It's a good movie.
Yes, it is. I got it on Netflix DVD just to watch it before this, which I had seen it before, but it had been a long time. The movie's based on the 1919 French play Bedou Savre. I'm sorry, French listeners. Bedou Savre de and a 1932 movie of the same name, which translates to Bedou Saved from the Waters or Bedou Saved from Drowning. The film stars Nick Nolte, Bette Midler, and Richard Dreyfuss. The plot is that of a rich and dysfunctional nouveau rich family who saves the life of a suicidal homeless man, played by Nolte, who attempts to drown himself in their pool. And then Nick Nolte basically has sex with everyone in the family, except Richard Dreyfuss and the son. Essentially, it's a manic pixie dream boy situation where Nolte teaches the family how to live again, including their dog. It's also a very rare and empathetic 80s view of being trans, because with Nolte's help, the couple's son, Max, comes out to his family as androgynous, which, in watching it today, we'd probably call it non-binary or genderqueer. Carmen, the maid, also stops the affair she and Dreyfuss were having, seeing that now it is a power imbalance and exploitive. Just a side note, Carmen is played by Elizabeth Pena, whom I love. She was in Batteries Not Included. R.I.P. She died in 2014 at 55. And the movie's quite good. I really do recommend it. It crushed, earning $62.1 million in the U.S. alone on a $14 million budget. It actually made more money every week it was out. It was number one until the fourth week. It was also a critical success then and now, currently holding a 79% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. This is the first Disney release by way of Touchstone Films to carry an R rating, and it was Dreyfuss's first substantial hit after his much publicized drug problems. I had a little problem with cocaine. It basically revitalized his career. He had a cocaine addiction from 78 to 82. And here's a fun fact. Richard Dreyfuss is the shortest man to ever win Best Oscar for Goodbye Girl in 1977. And he's my size, 5'4", a king's size.
When do the Girl Scouts get into it, or what does that have to do with
When they show up, yeah, and then it's a Shelley Long joke.
It's like a crossover. So you got like a crossover going on here. And
Down and Out in Troop Beverly Hills.
And then you've got Eddie Murphy coming up on the scene.
Oh, Down and Out in Troop Beverly Hills Cop.
This sounds like a Wayans Brothers
3.
movie.
Yeah.
Fun facts from this week in history. So we're going to put fun in quotes. Okay, so this is not only the last episode in Season 2, but the last episode we will have that aired in January of 1986. So here we go. We're going to do the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster on January 28th, 1986. And this also really affected me as a kid, as you may or may not know, listener. You probably do. I've always been very into sci-fi and space, and I do want to go to space before I die. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. I never got to go to space camp. Werner von Braun, thank you for taking us to the moon, you Nazi shithead. So we have not one, but two Decepticons based on the United States Space Shuttle Orbiter. And because I have the ability to nerd out here, I should mention that the vehicle mode Blastoff and Astrotrain are based on is called the Orbiter. The Space Shuttle proper is the Stack, meaning that you only call it the Space Shuttle when all components, the Orbiter, solid rocket boosters, and expendable large fuel tank are attached.
I hope that's helpful to the story.
No.
Okay.
I just wanted to say it.
All right.
It's just something
I didn't know it.
Yeah.
I'm glad he told it.
When I was in New York City,
Aaron.
I went to the Air and Space Museum, and they had an amazing space shuttle or exhibit that was really great.
I'm just saying Ryan and Earl Kress have a couple things in common.
I am not. Wow. That video of me visiting that is on YouTube if you want to go check it out. So, to the accident. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster was a fatal accident in the U.S. space program when, 73 seconds into her flight, the Challenger broke apart, killing all 7 crew members on board. It was the worst NASA disaster since the Apollo 1 accident, where, during a routine launch rehearsal, all 3 members were killed when a wiring short-circuited, causing a fire to ignite in the capsule, and they were unable to escape. Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger B. Chaffee all burned to death. The atmosphere inside was a pure O2, pure oxygen atmosphere, and the hatch was extremely difficult to get open from the crew's position. I just mentioned this because, like the Challenger, this caused a huge revamp of NASA's equipment and procedures, and coincidentally, it was almost exactly 19 years earlier, taking place on January 27th, 1967, whereas Challenger was January 28th, 1986. The Challenger accident was caused by the redundant failure of 2 O-ring seals in the right solid rocket booster due to record low temperatures in Florida, which had delayed the flight a few times. The seal failure breached the rocket joint, and pressurized gas burned through the SRB wall, entering the external fuel tank. The right SRB separated from the stack and caused a structural failure of the external tank, which exploded. The subsequent aerodynamic force on the orbiter containing the crew compartment destroyed the vehicle. The exact timing of the deaths are unknown, but the crew compartment, being made of reinforced aluminum, remained intact and separated from the orbiter. The crew compartment was not pressurized, so it's unclear how many of the crew were conscious on impact with the ocean, but all were likely still alive when they hit the water at 200 miles an hour, 2 minutes and 45 seconds after breakup. Francis R. Scobie, Michael J. Smith, Ronald McNair, Ellison Onizuka, Judith Resnick, Gregory Jarvis, Christina Macliffe, a teacher, lost their lives in the pursuit of science. The legacy of the Challenge disaster was almost a 3-year hiatus for the shuttle program and massively redesigned NASA procedures and changed the SRB design. The orbiter Endeavour was commissioned to replace Challenger. Later missions required crew to wear pressure suits during both ascent and reentry, but truly, I don't think the shuttle program ever recovered. And to be fair, the Space Shuttle program, which was designed to reduce cost and increase speed of launches, was by any measurable degree a failure. It proved much more expensive and slower than expendable spacecraft of the Apollo program. Researching this made me sad.
It sounds like talking about it made you sad.
I rehearsed this like 10 times, and I still got choked up in doing it.
Yeah.
And rightly so.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Well, and this was because of the teacher on board, this was a highly publicized launch where they were, not a lot of our listeners know this, but they had it widely televised in school that day. And I don't recall if it was, I remember finding out about it like right away, but I don't remember if I actually was watching it on television at that time or if I just saw it later, but heard about it prior to seeing footage. I don't recall. Do you guys have any memory of that over at East Elementary?
I'm the same. I may be creating it in my mind where I watched it in the classroom. I don't know. But that footage was played so often, it was just ubiquitous. And It was actually like so. This teacher, she had basically entered. Krista McAuliffe had entered this. It's not a contest necessarily, but like
she went through a selection process.
A selection process, yes, exactly, where you wrote an essay and then you like went into training, and then she was selected to go up with the shuttle, and it was actually meant to be an entry into civilians going up with shuttle missions. Obviously, that got shut down because we didn't fly for another 3 years. But
yeah, my memory, we were going to watch it in the classroom, and I'm thinking that maybe they were videotaping it and were going to show us all later, because I remember my teacher at the time coming in and saying that the Challenger exploded and that we wouldn't be watching that.
Yeah. Maybe that's... I don't want to say I remember that for sure, but that seems more in line with kind of how I remember it as well.
The fucking idea they were alive until they hit the water for almost 3 minutes is...
Yeah, it's tough.
Damn.
I mean, I feel the same way about anybody who's in a plane. Like which is the flight that was over Pennsylvania that 9/11
93
crashed, and I assume all of those people were alive until it hit the ground.
Yeah, they were. I mean, maybe. Probably.
Yeah. All the documentaries around the Challenger are pretty infuriating, to just the culture of a lack of safety and just trying to get the job done, and we got to get this thing into space, and are pretty infuriating.
With Apollo 1, and I believe the director at the time said, I'm sorry, I can't remember, said at the time that it was a failure of imagination, which is like that it was a pure oxygen environment. There was Velcro all over all over inside the capsule, and the hatch was dogged and really hard to open because you had to reach behind it yourself to open the bolts. So that really was a pure accident. I feel like Challenger disaster is a good way of putting it, because a lot of things had to go wrong. NASA was pushing for the launch. The people who built the O-rings knew there was a problem with them, decided to go on with it, decided to go ahead with it. It's very complicated. I don't think necessarily it was,
but from what I understand, there
negligence.
were people sounding the alarm to the problem that was ultimately at the leadership levels ignored.
Yes, they were like, well, I think it'll... Like, because the idea was that, well, they're redundant O-rings. Like, maybe if one fails, the other one won't.
Maybe they didn't ignore it, and I don't know, but maybe they dismissed it and decided that it was worth the risk to move forward.
Right. There was a lot of pressure to go with the launch. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge publicity. It was a huge publicity event.
And it'd been delayed a couple of times, so.
Yeah. The president was, yeah. God.
I don't like Reagan, but his speech that he gave after it was pretty moving.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. They slipped the bonds of earth to touch the face of God, I think is like one of the sound bites from that's pretty moving.
His speechwriter did a good job that day.
Yep. That's the real world. God damn. Well, I just wanted to cover that. I wanted to cover it because it was such a huge part of the 80s. And, like, just, it was something that resonated, I mean, still has, resonates into the future to today of NASA, of, like, the way things are done, so.
Yeah. And we've had, one major disaster since then?
Columbia?
Is that what it was?
She broke up on reentry. We've never lost, and we've never had a fatal accident in space. It's always takeoff and reentry, which is obviously the most dangerous part.
Right. Well,
wow. Okay. Yeah.
How about we
this is
deviate?
All right. Let's do that.
Trip deviations.
This episode was written by Earl Kress, and as I said before, Mr. Kress also wrote Hoist Goes to Hollywood, my least favorite episode of the series so far. We'll see about season 3. And like in that episode, I would say that Earl Kress seems to hate women because of Elise's treatment. But it's so perplexing because he also wrote The Immobilizer, the entry for Carly, and she's so great in that one. Maybe he got a divorce in between. Honestly,
Why take it out on this poor little girl?
This is just occurring to me.
Yeah, and you would expect, like, the girl got attached to those guys, and that was an opportunity to demonstrate a female's abilities to, help out, more than help out, to excel, and she does that.
Yep.
But then they end the episode they undermine all of that with how they end the episode.
Well, not only that, but just how they treat her, and it's supposed to be, I think, funny.
Well, and they never get any kind of comeuppance. Like, normally when there's a dick character, somehow they face some sort of retribution, or there's a turnaround in their
Way
point
of
of
thinking.
view.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been so easy.
That doesn't happen.
If, like, they just came around to being like, "Oh, we were jerks. I'm sorry. You're great. Let's be friends now." That's why that is the beat. Like, I don't know why it didn't happen.
Yeah, it should be her putting tape on their mouths.
Exactly. And then the Autobots laugh. Okay. So he also did Desertion of the Dinobots 2-parter, which I like. I could not find an original script for this one, but there are a few facts about it. Due to the last-minute nature of changes to this episode, i.e. forcing Defensor to be in it, it's probable that the reason the Season 1 Autobots, Ironhide, Gears, and Bumblebee, instead of the Protectobots, answer the call, is that it was just never changed in the final script.
There was never going to be a call to the Protectobots.
Right.
But that would mean that so then you have the scene at the beginning. Sorry to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like it could have been added pretty quickly. He shows up, he shoots him, he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything was added.
Yeah, they call the Protectobots. The kids specifically call the Protectobots. The Autobots answer and to the call, which I think is why
I just didn't add a new sequence for that.
Well, it's a very long sequence where they chase Bot.
That's true. So that was probably mostly animated.
Yeah, or just they didn't have the time to change it.
Right.
That's what it seems like. Do you remember how weird that scene in the burned out building where they're running up the stairs is?
Mm-hmm.
So the Autobots are going up a spiral staircase, and because of this, appear to shoot at just the wall.
We must have got him.
If he's up there, we got him. It seems fairly obvious the writer intended them to be going up a straight staircase, because otherwise it makes no fucking sense.
Also, what building does a spiral staircase exist in of that style of building?
Exactly. That's what I had. What kind of skyscraper has a spiral staircase like a medieval fucking castle? Oh, this is the weirdest one. Apparently, the junkyard operator is a spy in the original script that at the end is taken away by federal authorities. He has no lines, and I don't even understand how that would work into the plot. That's scripted.
He's a spy for who?
Exactly. I don't know, because I can't find the script, but for who, for why, and what does it matter? And it's just weird that El Presidente never comes back, and it's a fucking strange. That's why I said it's not the worst episode. It's just super confusing and bizarre.
Now that we've talked through this, I'm starting to turn.
Oh yeah, you're like maybe worst episode.
I mean, think about all the ideas they tried to jam in. We've got foreign people, cultures.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that. It's like they took a lot of stuff from a lot of episodes.
It's true.
A little pieces here and there. Tried to jam in the Protectobots very poorly.
Yeah.
Somebody could call the street cleaners. What does he say? There's trash on
the street or something. Yeah.
You got these the worst writing for bringing new human characters.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You didn't have to make those guys such dicks.
That is the weirdest part where it's like...
That didn't serve the plot at all.
Because they're such bullies, and it's meant to... Again, I can't imagine it's meant to not be played for laughs, but it's just awful. Even at the time, it seems like it would be awful.
Well, hey, we're done.
That was script deviation.
R.I.P. Season 2. What's your scheme rating?
Fuck.
Oh. God, yeah, I would rate it the exact same as Ryan.
Scheme rating, fuck.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so okay,
We can.
I'm the ghost of the iconic moment.
You know.
Oh,
I like it when Bot like waves before he explodes.
that's so
a good
sad. Because it also means like if she was controlling him, Elise did that,
Made him wave.
She made him wave.
or else
He was waving goodbye to herself.
Yeah. She's
Either
not getting the respect she deserves from this boy, so she makes the robot wave at her before it explodes.
Oh
The
my
robot was
God.
her only friend.
that's almost sadder
love
than
it.
what I thought, which is like maybe there is some remnant of a personality in there, but they're both super sad ideas. Fuck.
I'm gonna go with the shocking duct taping.
Oh yeah,
Duct tape over the
Yeah.
mouth ending.
I'll agree because of fucking how horrible it is. Like the last scene of Elise getting her mouth taped, it's fucking baffling. The last scene in the last episode of season 2 is physical assault on a minor girl.
in the arc.
The ticking bomb is pretty funny, I guess,
Yeah.
if we want to go for a positive thing.
Maybe if anything, maybe the personality of Swindle and getting to understand that character.
That's
I
true.
mean, this is kind of the jump off of him becoming sort of a sensation in the community.
Yeah, I did like that. It's not a moment necessarily, but I did like the Swindle highlight. Like, I find him an interesting character. I liked seeing him in this episode.
I can go for more,
Yeah, and
All right.
maybe we will.
perhaps.
Next time on the Autobot Decepticast.
We don't know. A movie tangent. Straight into season 3. A total track switch as a full-fledged G.I. Joe podcast, perhaps.
We're a gym podcast now.
All Gem. All
All
the
the
time. Who are we going to get to do voices for that? Nope, we're not getting anybody because that's not happening.
Nope. It was all a lie. I'm sorry, gym
Psych.
fans.
The Patreon, it feels weird to tell you
Well-
the Patreon exists, but it does right now.
Yeah, just say
Why?
that, like
Yeah.
we're
Give us
taking.
some money.
Yeah, like we said at the top, and like I said in the last episode, which we probably explained it better. We're taking like a short break, just a little hiatus. We'll be back to record in March. We'll be gone for a month, 6 weeks, 2 months tops.
8
just
weeks, 12, whatever, tops 52 weeks.
Don't unsubscribe. We'll be back. There'll be stuff in between.
Yeah.
It's just some personal time, and then we'll be back. We're going straight. We've released since April of 2017, and it's just a little break between season 2 and 3, and we're gonna. Oh, ACOM. Oh God.
Yay.
Maybe they've gotten better.
It's
Yeah,
better
they
than-
were responsible for the movie.
You're saying like maybe the cartoons have somehow improved?
I'm sure they have.
Like wine.
Yeah, like
I still
cheese.
don't understand. I guess Nelson Shin was the director. He's the ACOM guy, but I think Toei was still responsible for the work of the movie.
Yes. The
It's going to be
movie's-
weird.
Go
It's gonna
watch
be
the
cool.
movie. The movie's pretty, mostly.
And as far as the podcast goes, just go back to the beginning, episode 0.
Man, I can't. It is funny because we talked about how this season or season. Well, I guess this season, but this year in particular, I felt like we've hit a really good, we've been doing, firing on all cylinders, and it's been great. And I can't imagine going back to, episode 1 and being like, oh, I can't believe
The
it.
exciting arc, the 30-episode arc where there's a slight high-pitched whine in the background of all of our episodes. That is
because we had crappy
That's
equipment.
a good one.
I think our out the gate. We're solid. I think we were firing on all cylinders then, and I think we're firing on all cylinders now.
Wow, Caleb.
Yeah, I can't remember what YouTube personality is. I like them a lot, but they do long diatribes about subjects, and they were there's that thing of don't wait till something's perfect to put it out. Just start putting it out because it's going to be bad. Because it's probably going to be bad, and you're going to look back on it and not necessarily like it, but you just put out your creative work, and then you get better, and you realize how to do a thing. And I think we've finally realized how to do a thing.
Maybe.
I think what
Caleb's saying we knew from the very beginning.
He is. I think
Ryan's saying we know now, and I'm saying maybe we'll get there someday.
Yeah. Wow. We've hit all the marks. Damn.
What I don't like is Ryan's almost saying don't if you go back to these first episodes, they're not going to be.
Oh
any
no
good.
No. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying from a creator standpoint of me listening to what we were doing.
Yeah. Well,
I still think they're good, and I think obviously since people listened and we're here now, like and
that's true.
We're at the point we are. People enjoyed them, so I don't think they're bad at all. I'm just saying it's difficult for me to listen to because I'm like, oh, you fucking idiot.
All right, I get it. Well, listeners, why don't you revisit it and then
and let us know.
Yeah, and give us some money.
Or don't.
Yeah, you were saying Patreon.
So yeah, keep listening. Go back for a little bit. Tell your friends. If you're an Apple or iTunes podcast user, give us one of them ratings, please. And
5 stars, please.
You can find us on social media, all of them at APODcast, and on the website at autopoddecepticast.com. Sorry that we probably made everybody cry this episode a couple of times.
It was
you made everybody cry.
I did specifically myself. It was an emotional one. I just that's okay. It's okay to be sincere.
Hey, I shouldn't ask for emotions if I don't want to get them.
There's no reason not to be sincere and not to feel things. Like it's not bad to feel feelings.
No, you're right.
So
I agree. The Krista McAuliffe thing is just such a. Not to go back to that. Sorry. All right.
No.
But it is such a sad story. I mean, it's sad for all of them.
One of our English teachers in high school claimed that she was super close to being chosen for that, but she also had a lot of stories that, in retrospect, I think maybe she was just lying.
Are you talking about Mrs.
Yes. Yes, I am. Caleb was her terrible student teacher.
Or teacher's aide.
That's what I meant.
I was the best.
Showed up 5 minutes to the bell.
What would the opposite of a teacher's aide be? Like a teacher's
crutch?
Yeah. Not crutch.
Well, crutch would aid her more
That's
than
true.
Caleb did.
I was the opposite of a teacher's aide. You're right in that situation. In fact, her other teacher's aides had to take up the slack for me.
Like this podcast.
Yeah. There you go.
Woo!
I didn't watch these 2 episodes.
I'm sorry. I'm not
coming to record with you in person. Oh, no. I guess it wouldn't be an episode if we didn't bust Caleb's chops for no reason.
It's true.
It's a good round out for season 2.
Everybody, have a great couple of weeks off from the Autopod Decepticast.
We'll see you soon.
And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for everything. Let's kick off 2022 with some positivity.
We love you.
Yeah.
Why don't we?
We love you all. Thank you for everything.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get my boys off the sofa. And
get them picking up leaves in the yard or something.
It's not a bad idea, actually. I might do that.
Tell them their Uncle Aaron suggested
Get
it.
out there. Don't come in till I don't see a leaf no more.
If I see a leaf, you're staying outside. Yeah, it was early this morning, and the dream was me in like a kind of like a marathon, but a long walk, race type situation, and I was pulling a trailer, like a semi trailer.
Like a strongman competition?
I'm not sure how it was connected to me in the dream. I just know I was pulling it. And like I was literally walking on the ground pulling this thing. It was raining, and that was okay, actually. That part was exciting because I was accomplishing it, and I was good. I was good with it. And but then my wife somehow chastises me and takes over doing it because I was slowing everybody down. Then she takes it over, and somehow in the handoff to her, I said something that was, and I don't remember, whatever I said, it was passive aggressive. And then suddenly, like, everybody is on me for how I was handling whatever I said and my attitude. And all of a sudden my sister's there, and West is there, and you guys are there, and everyone's like giving me a hard time on my passive aggressive behavior and my lack of emotional maturity. And I was like,
I feel like there's a pretty straightforward interpretation of this dream.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Yeah, but I was crying, and I was upset, and I was really frustrated, and I woke up, and my legs, and I was just sweaty all over, and just like I was just like, oh my, and I was so happy to wake up and realize it was a dream.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, thank God. So, and I don't have those very often, but yeah, pretty straightforward, obviously, but at the same time, I haven't been feeling that way consciously, but it's interesting that my dream was tackling some anxiety of some sort.
This is in no way related to psychological things, but I have this thing where sometimes when I sleep with my legs curled up, like almost in the fetal position, they'll start to ache, and in my dreams, I'll be unable to walk.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I straighten my legs out. It's always that. It's always because my legs are curled up, and I start to be like not able to walk in the dream.
Wow.
Huh. That's interesting.
I've had dreams where I'm all of a sudden immobile and don't have control of my body, but I haven't connected it to something that's happening in the physical world yet. Do you guys, when you have to pee in real life, do you find that you have to pee in your dreams?
I mean, I've experienced that in the past, but it's been a while.
Sometimes, more often than not, I'm thirsty, and I'm drinking a lot of liquid in my dreams. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm thirsty.
I have to pee every night, and I wake up in the middle of the night every night to pee, and so almost every night in my dreams I have to pee.
Oh.
And I'll pee forever. I'll be in a bathroom.
At least you're not doing it in...
I know, at least. I'll go to a bathroom in my dream. I'll go be in a urinal, and I'll just be sitting there peeing. It just will never stop. And then I wake up, and I have to go pee.
It's the same thing with me with drinking water. I'll be pounding so much water, and I can't get sated.
I haven't had this in a while, but quite a few times I've had sleep paralysis. Ever had sleep paralysis?
No. You have?
Yeah.
Do you see anything?
No, I haven't hallucinated from it.
Okay.
And I'm not, my eyes, actually in the situation, my eyes aren't necessarily open, but I'm lucid enough that I'm aware that I physically
can't move.
It takes, and it's weird to then get yourself in the mental state to be like, okay, move now.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Once you make that leap that you successfully to move your body, then everything is fine. But no, I've had sleep paralysis, just not where I'm laying there with my eyes open looking around or hallucinating. Yeah. Thank God.
No
thank
kidding.
God.
It can be terrifying. Like I've never had it, but I've read, people see the old hag, people see things sitting on your chest, some UFO abductions are written off to sleep paralysis. And the great part about it is the more you learn about it, the more likely it is to happen to you. And that's true. And I'm like, no, I actually have the opposite of sleep paralysis where, when you dream, you're supposed to be asleep. You're supposed to be asleep. You're supposed to be paralyzed. Your body paralyzes you so that you don't act out your dreams. But I do sometimes. And another side effect of that is I have a hypnic jerk, which is like when I'm falling asleep, a spasm. And sometimes it'll happen all night long where I'll get 20 minutes of sleep at a time, maybe. Like last night, I probably woke up from probably 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I got minutes of sleep at a time.
Do you still sleep with West, or do you sleep in separate beds?
No, we sleep together.
Well, I mean, there's quite a few people I know now that sleep separately, and I didn't know if for various reasons, but that would be one.
Yeah, no, we sleep in the same bed. It's a king bed. I mean, it's huge, and we sleep with the dog.
And you're tiny, and Ryan's tiny. It's like.
Though I do starfish, but actually, in reading in it, nobody knows why this happens, and there's no treatment for it. They're just like, maybe don't have caffeine, which I don't, and so but sleeping in a fetal position does tend to help. And they're also like, don't worry about it. Like the more you stress about it, the worse it'll be. And I'm like, that's not helpful either, because I'm like, I need to sleep. I have to get up in the morning.
It's like, try not to think about it.
Don't think of a pink elephant. Yeah. And so it doesn't really bother her, but I have to sleep with a humidifier going, especially in the winter, because I have some sleep apnea problems too.
God.
I get it dry.
So I have never really thought of sleep paralysis. I think that is what I'm going through when I was saying earlier that I'm immobile sometimes in a dream. I've never had a hallucination or anything, but I have had moments where I'm in between being asleep and being awake, but I can't move my body, and
That is sleep
freaky,
paralysis.
and I can't.
Yeah,
and I can't.
it is. I've never had
do
that.
anything about it, and it's a little bit
I-
disturbing.
Yeah, it's scary because you literally can't get your brain to start moving your body.
Yeah. Ryan, I think I also have sleep apnea. I've been debating talking to my doctor about it. I don't know what the ramifications are on insurance and things like that, or there's definitely ramifications for how you have to live the rest of your life. I can't imagine
if you have to get a CPAP.
Yeah, I can't imagine being hooked up to a CPAP, but
usually it's not as bad with the humidifier. I have the humidifier going at 50% humidity with the door closed, and it helps a ton. Like
maybe I should try a humidifier.
And don't sleep on your back.
And I rarely sleep on my back, but it would be interesting to see how my life might change if I actually addressed it. People say, I mean, that it has a pretty detrimental effect on your
because
waking performance.
You stop breathing, and then and even if you don't wake up, it's hard on your heart and your body.
People that I know that have gotten a CPAP, it's actually improved the quality of their life greatly, very quickly, and on all levels: physical, mental, sexual,
sensual.
Yeah.
That's sleep talk with the Autobot Decepticast.
See, and people say that when you describe your dreams, they're boring. I disagree. Maybe you're just a boring person.
Bro Cells is the sponsor of Autopod Decepticast. Yes.